Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus addressed this parable to those who were convinced of their own righteousness and despised everyone else. Two people went out to the temple area to pray. One was a Pharisee and the other was a tax collector. The Pharisee took up his position and spoke this prayer to himself. "O God, I thank you that I am not like the rest of humanity, greedy, dishonest, adulterous, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, and I pay tithes on my whole income." But the tax collector stood up at a distance and would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast and prayed, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." I tell you, the latter went home justified, but the former, for whoever exerts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise the Lord Jesus Christ.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Magandang hapon po.
It's been a long time. Kamusta kayo? Ayos pa, Father. Hindi kasi meron mga may sakit. Ano nangyari sa iyo? Sige, masarap din candy. Please, don't eat something during the mass. Okay. However, I've been away for almost 2 weeks. I was in Timor-Leste and even in the Philippines. Just Friday night, I returned back to Korea, and I'm sad because I'm here in Korea. Ay ko ng Korea talaga.
Order naman.
Totoo talaga. Ayoko na talaga dito. Sorry, but this is my true feeling. However, I had a great time in Timor-Leste and the Philippines. When it was my business trip, we had a great success on the business trip, firstly in East Timor, together with all the directors of migrant centers in all dioceses in Korea. On behalf of the whole Church of Korea, we were presenting ourselves to the government in order for them to realize their workers here in Korea, the realities, the difficulties, some labor, exploitations, whatever. So we had a great time, even meeting with the Prime Minister and the President. At least the whole nation could get to know about their sacrifices for their nation, because it was released during the meeting or the major broadcasting, the news released on that night. Even the workers here in Korea, they watched it. They were happy, at least they are recognized by the people there and their families. Not only their families, but whole nation, recognizing the sacrifices of theirs to the nation. And this, the least one, where Timor-Leste is being considered one of the poorest countries in Asia, just less than 25 years of their foundation as independent country, where from year 2002, after long years of the occupation of the Portuguese and Indonesians, so having only 1.4 million whole population, as small as a common province in Korea, their territories such industries. Having 7,000 workers here in Korea, these are the ones who support the whole family around. And this list was hidden, even in Korea, among the migrant workers. List you as OFW, or apart from the Ajumma, Asawa Koreano, and the history was turning back a long time, a huge size of numbers of OFW in Korea, not only here but in the other countries as well. However, this small in number, all Catholics, they were struggling here not only for the works and also for their faith as well, because only one priest from their country residing in Korea. It was just recently, just 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, he came, but he could not cover up everything for his people scattered all around Korea, coastal area for fishing and something else. And then the church and the government make them appear visible. It is truly work of the church to make this oppressed, the least, invisible to the state of visibility, to be shown, not for exaggeration, but to be recognized. The work of the church out of compassion, as Jesus has shown compassion to those humble themselves. This is one of the key of this gospel and the readings too. We should have compassion as Jesus has. This is the first lesson. At least I have experienced in my business trip together with the other directors for Marigan Center around Korea. Everybody felt the same, the compassion to the people of God. And we ourselves as Christian, and you also, should keep this compassionate heart of Jesus. The second point of gospel and readings today is of strength, as St. Paul showed us. In the second reading, word proclaimed. I do believe you understood it is what is being proclaimed in second reading. A lot of trials to be stand as Christian, to be stand a faithful to the Lord's will. The journey of St. Paul was not easy in the pagan area. Proclaiming the good news, he was persecuted, he was misunderstood. However, he kept his faith. The faith of ours is not just a piece of cake when we are free on Sunday, coming to the church, listen to the word of God. After that, such a bondings around for party. It's not. The way that you are coming in this church every Sunday, not because you are for free, nothing to do, but because you are having faith. We need to find the solution here by listening to the Word of God, by receiving His body as our strength to sustain ourselves, to resist from malice on our side. How much more by this time compared to the times of Jesus Christ? A lot of temptations coming into our life. A lot of things for pleasure. Parties, festivals, whatever. The most. You are free to go. And you have also struggles in your life. Still, you are keeping the faith. Keep this as you are keeping. As St. Paul has shown us the strength in faith. God is guiding you. God is staying beside you to guide you. Don't be discouraged. Don't be tempted by other things which can give you sweetness, comfort, something else. Sometimes in the church is not giving sweet candies. The church is imposing you a little more, the heavy one, in order for your soul to be saved. However, keep your faith, strengthened by the grace of the Lord, having examples of St. Paul as he proclaimed today in this second reading. The third point of Gospel and two readings is humility, as Pharisee has shown to us. The Pharisee, groups of them, sometimes they are exaggerating. However, the manners what they kept, at least they kept commandments of the Lord. So the gospel is shown twice a week, fasting. And this external thing, then he praises himself. Okay, thank God. Thank you that I am keeping still this commandment of yours. As you cannot blame these Pharisees as well. How do we keep this commandment of the Lord? Spending the day of the Lord holy. In practical way to participate Holy Eucharist on Sunday. Can just think how many times you omitted this obligation. We have a lot of reasons. However, the Pharisees kept this one. No matter inner self has another thing. However, they try to keep. Then one of the problem of theirs is that's good enough for them to justify. In God's eyes, it's not. Instead, the tax collector, notoriously known as bad guys, goes getting the tax from the people, the pockets of the people. And you, by now in the Philippines, there are a lot of conflicts, protests. Yung mga tao, yung mga kabataan, young adults, they were there speaking out for justice. They were courageous. Even the church made their own voice to the public. Knowing all realities, these are corrupted. These are bad. And some of you posted on your Facebook your own statement about the realities of the society of the Philippines. Yep. Not only there, but here, everywhere in the world. Being opened. And people, they are not being considered good people, persons. However, we do not just underestimate their dignity. However, realizing this state of our life, sinfulness, as tax collector at least showed himself, I am a sinner. Okay, I'm doing something wrong. I know this. Yes, with such a reasons, etc., etc. Realizing their very selves, at least they confessed. And there is another step to go on. With this humility, not being shown by Pharisees, no matter they kept their own way in accordance with God's commandments. Still good, but something more. They humble themselves. God is accepting this humility. And God is giving strength to those who are having this humility. God has compassion to those who are keeping this faith, no matter the struggles, temptations are coming into their life.